Hello and welcome to... Hello once again, my friends. It is I, the voices in your headphones. I'm in something of a creative slump right now. I know, after producing maybe a video once every 2 months, it's just so artistically taxing. Just joking. The reason I'm so slow is a fun little thing that we like to call... Anyways, in my forever attempts to push aside my issues instead of working through them like a healthy adult, I play a lot of video games. So we're going to be talking about video games. Specifically, we're going to be talking about this one game that caught my eye recently called The Upturned. I learned about this little gem from a past show video, and now I'm going to be absolutely shamelessly stealing the idea to talk about it. So, what's this game about? Well, your character is the average human, which if we look at it through the lens of statistics, that means you're dead. Welcome to the afterlife. You find yourself traveling up a dark path until you find a building. A small one. Minuscule even. Now that you're dead, this is going to be where you're spending your afterlife. In a hotel ran by my main man, Ikaboo. Or as he calls himself, Ick. You just have to take the elevator up to your floor, which is conveniently only about 1,400 stories away. Though on your way there, the elevator does, Yeah, that. And you have to fix that. Repeatedly. Every level, you need to explore the floor that you're currently on, find the fuse that gets the elevator moving again, and haul it back. That's the main gameplay loop that's going to be constantly pushing to your goal. Don't worry though, you've got Ick by your side, constantly calling and talking to you, helping in any way that he can. Thanks, Ick. Now, let's talk about this game's controls. It's imperative to fully understand your kit and to make the most of your diverse set of options. You can jump, turn on your flashlight, and grab things. I know, this can be almost overwhelming. You require years of gaming experience and finely tuned motor skills to grasp this complex and mechanically challenging moveset, but it will prepare you for any situation you come across. Have an enemy to kill? Throw something at it. Have a switch to hit? Throw something at it. Need to break glass? Throw something at it. Need to get up to higher places? Throw things at other things and climb them. Make a new friend? Climb atop their desk. Look into their eyes. Know that in this moment, in this time, in this whisper of eternity, where two dead souls have crossed paths and all they will ever have is each other, this time, this place, together, if only for a night. Then throw something at it. Every floor is some kind of new puzzle to solve or a new maze to explore. While looking for the fuse, you will repeatedly encounter one unique situation after another. Like, a far larger number than I was anticipating. This game is only $10, so I wasn't expecting anything very long or robust experience, and it continued to surprise me again and again with something new. The game lasts on an average playthrough maybe about 6 to 8 hours, and at no point does it ever stop being unrelentingly original and fun to play. For being a bit of a puzzle platformer, it's not exceedingly difficult, but not overly easy on you. Sure, the jumps can be tight, the enemies can be plenty, and the panic can set in if you let it, but there's never a moment where you have to just stop and go, yeah, I don't know. Everything is communicated clearly without the need to hold your hand, even as the rules seem to be constantly changing. Now, as for the tone of the game, you may notice by the footage in the back that it's a bit dark. Literally, you can't see shit in some places. Despite that, it's not too big on the horror side. It's got that spooky aesthetic, but not actually scary thing that I like. I like to call it spooklight. That's my term. Voices trademark. Of course, that doesn't mean the game can't get scary. There are some parts that can be genuinely unnerving to pass through. Not a fan of that. No siree. Not a fan of that. Despite the horror aesthetic, the game is very high in comedy. For example, in this level, you're turning a corner and, well, it's actually better if I show you instead of...
Sweet. Yep.
Ah! Fucking hell! Very sorry about that, sir. I'm just testing the PA system.
Oh, what? Did you, like... Wait.
On the next floor, you'll learn just why Ick was testing the PA system if you let him play his music. Hello? Sir, would you like some tubes? You know what? Sure, why not? Played with intercom feature on the bass. What? Whoa! No! Okay. Is it so bad? No, it's fine. This is fine. This is not bad in the slightest. This is completely acceptable. Oh, fuck! Well, that wasn't so bad. What'd you think about my tune? It was good. It was good, Ick. Thank you for enlightening me. Yeah. It's okay. We're all good, Ick. Honestly, the setup and payoff here was too funny to get mad at for making the area substantially more difficult, but there's some genuinely tense moments of unease or panic. Sometimes it's as cheap as getting sucker punched around a corner. Sometimes it plays on more instinctive fears, like being in a blindingly dark area with only a lamp keeping you safe from a group of giggling spiders. Yes, really. I don't like that. No siree, do not like that. What the fuck? Ugh. Oh god. Nope. Not a fan. No sir, do not like this. Why are they making these sounds? Why does that one have a hat? I hate this place. Fucking no. Piss off. Sometimes it's equal parts giggle and adrenaline inducing, such as being chased by a very large, very fast, very angry man in pajamas. Truly, the tone of this game is one of a kind. It occurs to me I should probably actually introduce the characters at some point. The cast is actually quite light. First off, there's you, the guest. You're embarking on this guest quest to get to your room and enjoy your cozy afterlife. Besides reaching your room, the character doesn't have much in terms of motivation, but they're far from being a blank slate. They tend to be on a bit of a goofy side. For example, when you unlock a door, he never just opens the lock. Instead, he misses a few times before finding his mark. He does this goofy little dance if you idle around too long, and you get frequent phone calls from the Ick that allow you to find his personality, be it as a cooperative straight man to Ick shenanigans, joining in on the goofs, or just shutting down attempts to talk. Next up is Ick. As stated, he's the one that runs the hotel. He's also the one that does the most talking in the game, as he acts as your mission control. Every floor, he'll call you to check on you and talk about the plot as it advances. Sometimes at the most inopportune times. Hey, Ick, a bit of a bad time here. A little, yes. Yes! Something like that. Ick, I'm a little busy. Despite his tendency to make things a bit harder or be a bother, he has nothing but good intentions. Probably. The last character is Shrimp. He's a dog. While you're unable to pet him, you do get to play fetch. 10 out of 10. Now, I'm going to start talking about the story itself as it unfolds throughout the course of the game. From this point on, it's going to be some pretty heavy spoiler talk. If you want to wrap up the video here, I wouldn't be upset. So I'm going to say here and now, the game is absolutely worth your time, especially for its price. $10 for a solid evening or two's worth of entertainment, immersing yourself in a charming and fun world the game takes place in. I honestly cannot recommend it enough and would implore you to go and support the creator. They've been making some other very unique games like Dead Setter and It Steals, and I would love to see what more they bring us in the future. Now, onto the spoiler talk. A decent waste of the game, Mick grows curious about your death. He orders a top secret file that arrives, and after some shenanigans that prevented him, he starts to read it. The file is documentation of everything that has ever happened on Earth. He finds that humanity has reached a utopia-like state. The world came together as one, all problems were solved, aging gets reversed, a nearly perfect world. But not long after, a series of events occurred that are, I want to say grim, but they're certainly apocalyptic, but the sheer escalation and absurdity of everything that happened makes it very hard not to laugh, even when it comes to the end of the world. He discovers that despite the apocalypse, you managed to survive, and your death was, if anything, amusingly anticlimactic. He reveals that he too died in such a way. In a situation where anything that could have killed him, from being caught in the snow, on a mountain, during a storm, in the dark, alone, looking down the barrel of a murderer, none of these things killed him. Instead, it was something completely unexpected, unprecedented, undignified. He was crushed by a tree. No matter how the dominoes fall, no matter what chain of disaster is building, even when you're at the end of that chain, sometimes what takes you out is a factor entirely left to chance. On some occasions, you get calls from a mysterious individual that goads you with equal parts threats and advice. It's not revealed until after you and Ick learn about each other's deaths that this person is known as Mr. Sob, a real SOB that co-runs the hotel along with Ick. While Ick wanted to make it as comfortable as possible, he would not have been able to make it without Mr. Sob, who wants to make the hotel a hell for its inhabitants. As the game events transpire, Ick comments on a brewing storm in the distance. He tries to play it off, but something about it is clearly concerning to him, as he brings it up again and again. You've only just reached your room, but with how worried he is, and due to your encounter with Mr. Sob, you go back to make sure Ick's okay. Reaching the lobby, you find him gone from his desk. He's fled into the storm in an urge to distance himself from the hotel that he's helped Mr. Sob create. He spends his last moments talking with you, having a moment of self-reflection, thinking about life and the circumstances that led to where you ended up. Though his discussion is interrupted as he mentions something bright and the call cuts off. Making your way back the trail which you started from, all the way back to the beginning of the game, you're intercepted by a man on a horse. He stares you down for a moment before a bright light envelops you and that's it. That's the end. Now, originally I wanted to say that this ending was pretty abrupt, disappointing even, in that while we learned the name and identity of Mr. Sob, nothing comes of it. But on reflection, I'm coming around on the idea that that might be the point of it all. I'm gonna theorize here for a moment about what this game is about. You're one of the last people to have died in the world, and after the ones still alive finally kick it, there's gonna be nothing left. As that grows closer, the storm gets more and more fierce. Icky even at one point compares it to the end of time, directly stating it's like the universe is ending. I think it's safe to say, at the risk of stating the obvious, that the game is about purgatory. The raging storm might just not be life coming to an end, but the afterlife too. After all, humanity is gone. There's nothing left. Nobody else to judge. Nobody else to wait for. Mr. Sob seems to fear the storm, likely not only because it's going to be taking the power that he holds over the hotel, but also likely that he fears what comes next. He wanted to hide and escape from the storm, and lord over people that wandered in. Meanwhile, you've got Ick, a gentle and more caring soul, ever helpful and friendly. He himself walks into the storm willingly. Even not knowing what's coming, he'd rather leave into unknown dangers than stay within a personal hell that he's been turning a blind eye to. The last we hear of him is mentioning that bright light. As you wander away from the hotel, the lights that guided your path are now turning off, leaving you alone in the darkness, at the mercy of the storm. But at the last moment, when a figure approaches and the light washes over you, what happens? In my opinion, it's that you're being whisked away to another place. The man on the horse is likely meant to be one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. Noting he's here in the realm of the dead, after the last of humanity has finally passed, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that this is likely Death himself. There's no exchange of words, he's just likely gathering up the lost souls. If you were to look at the positive light, you can infer that he's taking the kinder souls somewhere else. Somewhere better. Mr. Saab is likely in a panic because he knows that there will be no safe quarter for him. But unfortunately, no matter how far you go, no matter how well you hide, at the end of life, at the end of time, all will be called to judgment. And maybe, just maybe, you and Ick were taken away somewhere better. Whether you are or not, the fact of the matter is that the curtain is closed and this is the end of your tale. At least, that's my way of looking at it. Maybe you have your own interpretation, and if you do so, I'd like you to share. Now, I think I've said everything I wanted to about the game. I don't want to ramble too unnecessarily long. If you've skipped here to avoid the spoilers, or if you've listened all the way through and want to experience the unabridged story for yourself, I'm going to be leaving a link to the game in the description, and while you're down there, feel free to click a couple of those buttons. We got a fancy one that takes you right to my Discord where you can witness me in real time having a terrible upload schedule. Other than that, it's time I say goodbye. I have been the voices in your headphones, and once again, I thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, my friends. Stay safe. Stay surreal.